Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We have got an interesting show for you today. A few different topics to cover, but of course, welcome, John Brzenk. How are you, sir?
Hey Ryan, how's it going today?
Very, 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 very well. Actually, been doing plenty of things this week. The sport seems to be heading off in a whole heap of different directions, expanding a whole lot. But how's your week been, John?
It's been good. Getting a little cooler here in Arizona. It's 104, 105, so I think the one teens are over with, and just doing the normal thing, going to work, coming home.
Yeah,
still using the pool a little bit.
How's Delta treating you? Because they were always an instrumental part of you actually being an arm wrestler, weren't they? Like they helped you travel the world, didn't they?
Yeah, no, the airline industry's been good. You know, I spent 30 years up in Salt Lake City, and now I'm down in Phoenix, Arizona, which is a quite a bit smaller station for Delta. So, you know, where I used to work with 25, 30 guys, now I'm working with one or two guys. So it's definitely a lot slower pace, but yeah, as I've gotten older, I kind of like it, actually.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that suits it. I guess you can relax a bit, and you can watch a bit more arm wrestling as opposed to jet setting all over the world. But anyway. But that's good. Hey John, let's kick it straight off with a question that we had for the Ask John segment. Now, a question came in today from Leon Carlia, which is a gentleman from South Australia down here, and he asked to get your thoughts and kind of your run through of the match that you had with Lars back at the Australian FitX in 2012.
Oh, well, there was a lot. Oh, can I remember all that stuff? Phil Rasmussen? Is that his last name? Rasmussen? Phil, yep. Yeah. He's the one that invited me out to the Arnold there in Australia. I don't know how many, you said 2012, that's 6 years ago. Wow.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what my function was going to be. I think we did I helped them with a booth. They had like a little booth there. And at some point, I think they decided, or maybe it was pre-thought out, that they were going to have me arm wrestle 25 of the arm wrestlers that were competing that day. And it seemed like a pretty relaxed thing. I don't remember doing a lot of arm wrestling at the booth. So I got to arm wrestle all 23, 24 of the guys that were arm wrestlers there, and a couple strongmen. And the one that I remember, everybody was pretty easy on me, to be honest. I mean, I think they could have been a lot tougher on me, but most of them just wanted to kind of grip up and were pretty kind. A couple guys, one of the powerlifters there, I remember, he was just real difficult. He was kind of near the end, and then of course there was Lars. Yeah. And people were talking to me about him, but I didn't think too much of it. It seemed like a pretty relaxed thing. If I won, I won. If I lost, I lost. I wasn't really too worried about it. And at some point, I think in the middle there, they were offering $1,000 to if anybody could beat me. Well, then the competitiveness came through. You know, I was like, well, I can't let you lose $1,000 to anybody. And still, I didn't really have any idea what kind of arm wrestler this Lars was, and it turned out he was just a tad below a Jerry Caderet as far as presses go, and really shocked me. I think the initial go without the straps, he ended up almost pulling, if not pulling, my hand near the table, but there was a little bit of elbow stuff going on, and we ended up going to the straps, and boy, I had to work my butt off to pull him back up to center and make that transition through the middle of the table. And as I remember, I think he even pulled a King's move on me at the end, and I was quite wore out after that. I mean, I had to pull with the team afterwards a couple days after that, and I went to Sydney and pulled with some guys after that, and I was pretty much trashed after that little 25-man thing. But awesome arm wrestler. I mean, I'm shocked. Does he even arm wrestle anymore? I haven't seen him.
He does.
He pulled in the UAL.
He's pretty casual in it. I mean, he pops up in the occasional Arm Wars. He pops up in the occasional UAL, like you said, and he likes to come down to Australia each year in the Arnolds as well. He's been down here and had a couple of super matches with our top guys, and he was the real deal. And no doubt,
is he still doing well? I mean, how does he do with your top heavyweights down there now?
Yeah, he the last time he had a super match here, he took on Gunter Bykovs, who's our number one ranked super heavyweight. He's a former Latvian and European heavyweight champion, and Lars buried him 3-0. So.
Oh, really? Okay, wow. Yeah, no, he's the real deal for sure.
Yeah. So. I remember that was actually, I got into the sport 6 months after that fitness expo, so I missed that opportunity. But I remember watching that video and being absolutely amazed at the positions that Lars was putting himself in. That a King's move with his wrist entirely gone. I've never seen that before.
Right. Yeah, no, he's definitely done some practicing with some awkward positions, which you have to do with that shoulder roll. For sure, you have to develop that wrist and those joints to do some things that just aren't natural. But yeah, no, he pulled out all the stops for sure with me in that match. Even when I thought it was over, it wasn't over. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, and the guy before you that you mentioned, his name was Alan Cleese. He's at the time, I'm pretty sure he was the Australian bench press record holder. So,
I could tell that he was very formidable, strength wise. And I thought, well, the only way to beat this guy easy is to, take his hand. He's not going to know anything about top rolling and that. And I ran into a wall. I thought, oh crap, I can't top roll. His wrist was like iron. So then I thought, okay, well, let's see if I can just hook him, and it turned out to be pretty easy actually. So I was like, well, that's was a big surprise, but
yeah. Well done on that one, and being put on the spot and having to go through some pretty serious horsepower. So very entertaining.
Yeah, no, it was fun.
Good stuff. Hey, John, I wanted to talk about a bit of the expansion of the sport. What's going on? I'm getting the vibe, and I'm seeing and hearing a lot of people talking that the energy of the sport globally is moving in the right direction. Now, an example of what I'm alluding to is, for instance, we just had the UAL 15 competition on the last week. I think it was at the Anaheim Fitness Expo, and as an example, there was a YouTube star that turned up at the event. I have no idea if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Jujimufu. I don't know if you've heard of Jujimufu before. But
I have not.
I think he was made famous by a viral video about 3 or 4 years ago of him. I think he had 200 pounds on the bar, and he did a full split with his feet on 2 chairs with 200 pounds above his head. And and it was a phenomenal feat of strength. I remember seeing it and just thinking, wow, this guy's an animal. And from then, he's then gone on and created this big brand behind him just being an absolute beast in the fitness world. But he turned up to the UAL, and Bill Collins and a few other guys were talking him through how to actually arm wrestle, and he then entered the amateur tournament and absolutely dominated it and
killed it, huh?
Yeah, did you get to see any of it?
I saw a little bit of it. I wasn't going to sit through. That was a long video. That was 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Is that, now that you're talking about him, is that the same guy that does the weightlifting underwater in a pool, swimming pool?
That's him.
Oh, he does, I have seen that video. Yeah. So I didn't see how he did.
He entered the amateurs and he absolutely creamed them. He literally just was not even troubled, even momentarily. His hand and wrist was just way too strong. Most impressively, on the practice table, he had 3 casual starts with Jeff Dubb, and he pulled through 2 out of the 3 times. So Jeff was able to get a momentary stop in a top roll, but as soon as that wrist got bent from Jujimufu, he pulled straight through Jeff. So not a bad effort.
Just a lot to hang on to. I don't know what his strength level is, but he's a definite load. He's like wrestling a tree. He's so big, but
But sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to say that requires probably a lot of hand strength to be able to maintain your grip with that. Yeah,
and the impressive thing, obviously, aside from this guy's just physicality and his just natural instincts on the table, the thing that sparked my attention was the fact that, like we were saying, the sport is seeming to get momentum. People are noticing the sport more and more. Like this guy here, if you look at his YouTube subscribers, I think it was at 1.2 million. So
Wow.
he's put out that video just the other day, and obviously things like Devin Larratt goes and arm wrestles Shaquille O'Neal, gets a few million views, and
Right.
I don't know.
Did somebody reach out to him, or was he just a casual walk by that said, "Oh yeah, what's this? Looks interesting." Or,
I think he had
the story on it.
I suspect, I don't know, this is my guess, I suspect he was at the fitness expo to promote his own brand, and then saw the arm wrestling and thought, I can have a go at this, and put together a video of his experience. But and in the video, interestingly as well, he had some contact with arm wrestlers prior, because he says that he's getting Devin Larratt to come down to his gym for a workout. Okay. So
gotcha. All right. Yeah.
So combine Devin with it as well, it'll be even more entertaining. But it was cool. And I guess the whole thing is, like I said, that expansion of the sport, the kind of digital era that we're in when it comes to entertainment. These YouTube stars and that have a big influence over the reach that we have for the sport. And so I think it's cool. It's pretty exciting to see where it's all heading.
Right. No. Yeah. Good deal. Yeah, I didn't know he was that popular.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You'll have to go watch his stuff now, because more squats underwater. But
right.
Oh, good. So let's kick it off now, John, with play of the day. So, of course, guys, play of the day is brought to you by Lethal Arms Apparel. Make sure you check them out at www.lethalarmsapparel.com. But the play of the day, John, this week, it comes from that UAL event, and San Bernardino's Derek Smith up against Eric Waffel. Did you get to see the match?
I did see it.
Yeah, impressive.
Eric Waffel, in his typical posting style fashion, was trying to do a knuckle high top roll, and I saw that Derek didn't grab as low as I would have like to see him grab, but was able to put in a hook. And the big problem with doing that posting style top roll is if you get caught in a hook, you really don't have much of a defense as far as your hook lock goes, because you're focused on the front of your arm with that posting style top roll, and it's just really hard to make that transition to save yourself. But kudos for Derek for.
Because Eric's a big scalp, isn't he? And I mean that was for me. Yeah, I mean, that was for me the reason why this one really stood out. Derek, I know he's got big ambitions in the sport. Derek, I saw declaring that he wants to go to Worlds. He wants to bring home a gold medal from WAF World. So I know he's hungry, and he's the captain of the club. He's a really nice guy down at the San Bernardino. I think the Alpha Empire they call their club. I got to train with them when I was in the States last, and impressive stuff from Derek. So that one there, he definitely gets play of the day.
He's come out to Arizona to pull a couple times with us, and so I've got a chance to pull with him. He's definitely a strong dude.
Yeah. Alrighty, John. So another interesting video surfaced surrounding the sport this week. It surrounds the Ukrainian legend Oleg Zhokh. Naturally, Oleg Zhokh has taken the world by storm, not only for just his appearance being that his left arm is so significant, but he's very quickly ascending the ranks and conquering now the super heavyweights even. The video, did you get to see the video?
I did, yeah. Quite the production. I thought it was really well done. Is that the first one that they've done like that Sports Science?
It's the first one I've seen, and I thought it was tremendous. As you said, the production was on point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I did get to see it. Yeah, a lot of stuff that I didn't realize, and of course, you believe half the rumors that you hear, and almost all of them were debunked. I mean, the guy's just a hard-working kid from out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So it was. I agree that I'd heard rumors, and I was a believer of the rumors that he was born with 6 fingers, but. But he wasn't. I mean, I had the pleasure of facing Oleg Zhokh in the very first round of the 2015 WAF World Championships, and so I know you've gripped him as well. I got to experience how just big his hand is, and it was interesting to see. For those who missed it, make sure you go and check it out. It's on armpower.net. The website there is where you can see the full video, but it describes that Oleg Zhokh's I think the umbilical cord was wrapped around his left arm, so the bones didn't come together as much as they normally would, and he was then kind of left with a lot of soft tissue and spacing between the bones of his hand. So he's now that once he's gone on and become an adult, he's got this enormously wide hand, and he's made great use of it, as we saw.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that something that was, inhibited like that, that afterwards that it would, take hold like that with working out. I mean, just crazy that you would think that that it was injured, it would stay injured, but yeah.
Yeah, well, his dad said something truly interesting that I was amazed at as well, and along those lines was that when Oleg was in high school, he apparently, as you said, he'd been treating his left arm as a disability up until that point. He started training it and noticed that it responded twice as effectively as his right arm in training. So, well, who knows what the science is behind that? But wow,
right? I was going to say, the video is super. It seems like just a super nice kid. I mean, crazy out in the middle of nowhere. It kind of reminded me of, Rocky Balboa when he was fighting the Russian, as far as the rusty old crappy equipment and using stones and bricks and stuff. I'm like, a very interesting story. It was cool.
Yeah, and the lifts that he was doing itself. I saw that they tried to weigh the actual resistance and they broke the machine that they were using. But the amount of weight that it looked like he was moving there, and given that Andriy Pushkar, when visited his home, wasn't able to move 2 of the bricks, and Oleg moved 4 of the bricks that day. So, I don't know. When I watched that video, I saw, and my instincts were that Oleg Zhokh is going to become the most dominant left arm, or almost the most dominant. Like, when I say the most dominant, that far ahead of second in history. I think he's going to get there.
No, I mean, he obviously has already beaten Pushkar. I mean, I think the only one left now is truly a match with Devin and Dennis. I mean, let's see who the winner of that duo is, and
then give
Oleg's definitely in the running for. I mean, he looked thick. I mean, I saw some pictures of him after. Well, it wasn't, I guess, at that interview, but somewhere else where he's standing next to Pushkar. And hell, he's almost as big as Andre. I mean, his left arm, even his upper arm, which was always really tiny and thin. I was like, holy crap, he's put on some weight and some size. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if his right ever develops. I mean, I wonder what his potential is as far as an arm wrestler goes. Without that massive hand, if his right, because his right actually looked like it was progressing along pretty good.
And apparently
they were comparing.
Yeah, and apparently he was a right arm wrestler initially. That was where his specialty was, and that was the better arm. But interesting comparison between the left and the right arm was the attachment points of some of the flexors in the forearm. Did you see how there was like 5 centimeters difference in where the attachment point was? And I think that was the true source of why his leverage is amazing. He's just got a higher attachment point.
Right. I'd be curious to see if he ever develops a hook. I mean, does he practice it? I wonder what his strength is. I mean, because I mean, obviously he's built for the top roll with that hand, but with those connection points, I'd imagine he's probably pretty damn strong in a hook too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, but I thought it was an amazing video. I really got a new appreciation for Oleg Zhokh from that. I know I'd commented before about his call out of Devin Larratt, and I thought, no, he's not ready for it. But after seeing that video, I think that like you say, I think that after beating Andre, he's next in line, and he's probably the favorite in my head now.
Right. Definitely not a disabled guy, right? He's an enabled guy.
Oh, very much, yeah.
Can you imagine him pulling in the disabled class? I mean, oh crap!
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Amazing production. I mean, kudos to was it armpower.net and Igor for doing that. I mean, they got some good editors. It was good production for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty, so let's go on with the next section, which is, of course, Table Talk with John Brzenk. And Table Talk is brought to you by none other than Combat Arms Sports. So check them out. Their tables are probably the best in the USA and definitely competitive on the world level as well. Check them out, combatarmsports.com. John, what are we talking about on Table Talk today?
Well, I thought I'd talk a little bit about the hated move, the Jerry Caderet shoulder roll, and what it takes to develop it, and why you should train it, even though it's the crappiest move on the planet as far as arm wrestling goes, in my opinion. But
I can't wait to hear this one. All right.
Still occasionally need it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Table talk today. Today I'm going to spend some time talking about the shoulder roll, why it's important to practice it, when do you want to use it, and some of the dangers that are involved with using it at a fresh start. But first I wanted to say thank you to Combat Arm Sports for providing me with a new arm wrestling cover. As maybe somebody of you have noticed, I no longer have the Travis Badgent cover. This was super cool, really easy to do, a few snaps, and voila, we're transformed into the pound for pound arm wrestling table. So thank you, Combat Arm Sports, for sending me this new cover. Okay, so shoulder roll. It's a very uncomfortable technique to use in the sport because, quite frankly, nobody practices it. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult move, and very few people will spend any time at all in practice. It's very uncomfortable on the upper arm. It puts a huge amount of strain on the upper arm, and it makes the hand and wrist very vulnerable to being top rolled. So who would approach a match trying to do a shoulder roll? It's very useful at the end of the match, in my opinion, and it's the only time that I've ever used the shoulder roll, is when my opponent is trying to escape with a dead wrist and pulling back on the table, or trying to do the King's move, or it's the end of the match and I've pulled for 10 minutes and my arm's completely numb and I need a new set of fresh muscles. I will occasionally rise to the table and try to compress my arm and use my body weight to basically defeat a completely exhausted opponent. So in my opinion, that's the only time it's really worthwhile to use a shoulder roll. But here again, your mind and body are not going to even think about doing it unless you spend some time at practice conditioning your mind, those joints, and that side of your arm to accomplish that move. Very uncomfortable, but give it at least 10 minutes. I told Ryan 5 minutes, but 10-15 minutes. Shoulder roll, good finishing move, end of the match. Bye.
Yeah, the shoulder roll, I know for me, I don't have a shoulder roll. My elbow connection doesn't feel like it can withstand the force required to even get it involved in a match.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then that's the way it is for most people. Most people don't practice it very much because they just hate it, and they don't have that approach at the beginning of a match to arm wrestle with the shoulder roll. But if you don't practice it, your mind and body won't ever feel comfortable doing it, so you'll just never do it. And there are occasions where it's important to be able to get finished with that shoulder roll. There's cases where both guys are burned out, and it's nice to be able to change that muscle group and finish the match with a shoulder roll, or in a sticky situation, even when you have someone top rolled, they jam and do a little King's move, and it's nice to have. So here again, just repetition. I mean, you got to force yourself to do it to be good at it.
Yeah. So I have to ask. Tell me why is it the worst move in arm wrestling in your opinion?
It's just dangerous. I don't know. It's hard. It's a lot of upper arm strength that a lot more than is required from just pulling, outside and dragging. And I just don't ever. I never felt. I tried to do it many years. I guess I'm just maybe not built for it. But it makes your wrist vulnerable to being top rolled too. And so it was always something that I trained to possibly do at the end of a hard-fought match when all else has failed. It was never something that I would do at the beginning of a match. And it's definitely a jamming move too. I hate going against it. You can bend them backwards and take their wrist and stretch them out, and
they still keep going.
It almost forces you to do the same. I mean, they can jam in such a position that it's really difficult to pull through it unless you unless you make the transition to push yourself.
Yeah, I know that problem very well. I have, as you know, from Play Day a few weeks ago, Danny Tesh for me causes me nightmares with his shoulder jamming in and that shoulder roll coming. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you that it feels to me dangerous, but it does feel effective as a finishing move. I've only finished one match in my life in the press when both of us were gassed very, very significantly, and I was the first one to go to it. So it was gentle on the elbow then because the force wasn't high, but
right.
I could never dare go to it from the go.
No, most people won't, including myself. I mean, it's just there's too many good arm wrestlers that could definitely put the hurt on you.
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I saw some big finishes from yourself though. Like I can think of a few particularly famous matches. You obviously finished Devon Larratt with it in 2015. Some real old school footage from early days. I don't know whether it was at the Over the Top tournament or I think it was, but yeah, some of your matches definitely you finished nicely with the press.
Yeah, no, I mean if you got the top roll and they're backing out and kind of jamming with the elbow and kind of just flop wrists, it's almost the required move to kind of just jam into their hand and go straight down. It's you can't pull back anymore when they're to the back of the cup and just kind of jam with a dead wrist. So it's it's nice to have.
Yeah, all right, I think I'm going to start training it. You've convinced me. I'll start trying to condition my elbow. Watch out, Danny, I'm coming.
just 5 minutes a week. That's all it takes.
Yeah, I love it. All right, John, let's go on with what do we got next? We got an interesting topic next. This one, again, I guess it links in with everything we've been talking about today regarding the expansion of the sport and big things happening. But you and I have received an invitation to go to Moldova. What do you reckon about that, Moldova?
Yeah, I mean, kind of short notice, right? I guess it's in a week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I really don't see myself going, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they like to wait until the last minute to get everything squared away. But yeah, it's.
But yeah,
it looks like a big money tournament. I mean, I don't know who's putting this on. If it's just an individual or it's not the PAL. It's a new league maybe. I don't know. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not the A1 league.
Yeah. Well, the story of that I've heard anyway, and I guess what makes it look pretty promising is that it's essentially coming from Cobra Rhodes. So Cobra Rhodes Productions he's got a contact. I think through I think Cobra was working with a gentleman in security for the G5 summit, and through that he made connections, and the guy said, well, let's get an arm wrestling tournament going, and so that's kind of where it's come from. But as you said, big money, 70,000 euros is being advertised. Right. I don't know the specific breakdown as to what the tournament will be for payouts per class, but it's a left and right tournament. Weight categories, I think I recall it being like a under 70, under 80, and then under 95, and then open weight category. Right. And if it happens, it's right there in the middle of Eastern Europe. So that sort of money, I would expect some big names to show up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's right next to Ukraine, right? So you're going to get Andrei Pushkar there, and then I'm sure I don't know. Maybe Dennis wouldn't. Dennis wouldn't travel for that. Yeah. Yeah, and then Trubin, he's just right around the corner. So that's decent money for somebody. I saw 10,000 euros, which is a little stronger than $1, right? For left and right overall.
Yeah, that's it. So
for that kind of money,
and of course,
for that kind of money, I would have.
Sorry, you go.
I was going to say, for that kind of money, I would imagine maybe even Dave Chafee would go, but he's going to be pulling in the WAL, the week before?
Yeah, and that's it. Well, for anyone pulling the WAL, it's going to be pretty tricky. They're going to be sore. But I believe a number of key athletes have been invited to this, along with us. I mean, if we end up there, that'll be fantastic, and I think we'll be taking like a commentary role for the event. But I know Travis Bajent, he's been invited, and his face is actually on the poster helping promote it, so he's definitely involved. I believe even people like Todd Hutchins, Mike Aiello, Justin Bishop have been invited as well. So That's whether they turn up, we'll see. But hey,
right.
we're gonna know.
Right.
We're gonna know real soon.
I don't know how it is in Australia, but the U.S. team isn't sponsored by any Coke or Pepsi yet, or any big government subsidies. So I'm assuming there's going to need to be some tickets bought and paid for before any of those guys jump on an airplane anytime soon.
No doubt. But I hope it all comes together, because if it does, it'll be amazing. I can't wait. I've never personally seen the likes of Pushkar and Trubin pull. So I think that'd be amazing for me to be able to be amongst that and see it. And it should be a good tournament to commentate and be a bit of a blast either way. But yeah, Moldova, we will find out very soon, because the tournament is scheduled for the 14th of September, which is, what is that, 2 weeks away? Something like that?
2 weeks away?
Yes. Amazing stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the big news of the sport. This episode today, John, was we didn't have too much to talk about, because of course we're still waiting for the big WAL 406 to happen, which we did the prediction episode about last week. So, but it was good to see this week that the sport is bringing out some new opportunities for global expansion.
Right. By the way, did you see the spoof with Todd Hutchins with the?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. How good was that?
With the squatting, I honestly commented on his Instagram page when he first put that out.
Yep.
And I honestly thought he was. I mean, just knowing how strong Todd is, I thought he was going to do a military press with it. And then he was all proud of squatting it, which I wouldn't have been able to squat it. I had no chance. That would have buckled my kneecaps in a second. But then somebody decided to do like a little Rocky spoof, just pure power. Who did that? It was hilarious.
I think who did that? It was either Crichton from India, or I feel like Thanos. He goes by the name Thanos, I think.
Okay, so somebody out of the country.
Yeah, it was a fan. It was a fan of Todd who put that together, I think so. But yeah, it was amazing. In Todd squatting, I saw comments from Allison saying that he's been doing it for a few months now, and it's a new part of his routine. So we might.
Well, I know he's a big fan of that. What is it? The West Coast barbell thing. So I'm sure somebody told him to, work your legs. That your arms aren't going to get any stronger unless your legs catch up a little bit. So. Yeah.
Well, there we go. The big Todd Hutchins. I'd love to see it. I think that him threatening the big guys would be amazing. And you know him better than anyone else. So. And I know you rate his power incredibly highly, don't you?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, his arm strength is there with the best. I mean, I even think he's as strong as Pushkar. Todd's only problem is the top roll guy. The bigger guys normally come with taller arms, and Todd has a little difficult time getting a hold of them with the hand control thing. And being shorter, you're going to be in a disadvantage a lot of times. But as far as strength goes, side to side, there's no one better.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we're going to see him in action in a very short period of time up against Marcio. It's going to be a cracker, but and I've got Marcio. I remember I've got Marcio, and you got Todd, haven't you? Yep. That'll be a good one.
It should be a grinder.
I think we have a 6-pack of beer on that one, and I won't bring any watery Australian beers this time. I'll make sure it's IPA.
Okay. real beer. Buy it here.
That's it. All right, John. Well, thank you so much for the chat. It's always a very enjoyable thing. So thank you.
All right. We'll see you next week then.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Bye.